we go forward into Thursday.
Guard also said earlier this week that Nolan Winter and Jack Janicki both have taken steps forward to playing in the first round tournament. Again, that will be tomorrow, 12:50 against High Point. Turning to the Bucks, they would fall at the Pfizer Forum last night, 123-116 to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they would do it without Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has been sidelined for a week with a hyperextended knee and bone bruise. That's the 32nd game Antetokounmpo has missed this season, the most of any of his 13-year career, and the Bucks are now 11-20 without him. The Deer will be back in action tomorrow when they're in Utah to face the Jazz.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Football will start spring ball tomorrow. That will begin 15 sessions to introduce close to 50 new players since last time they took the field in November, which includes Old Dominion's Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, Wisconsin's new quarterback, Colton Joseph. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
I am certain that there is a burning desire among some of the younger players, Mason Miller perhaps in particular, to come back the next time there is a WBC, assuming there is one. It has to be agreed upon by the league and the union, and win this thing and win it in a big way. Now, it's tournament baseball. There is some randomness involved in the small samples. We all know that. But yes, the U.S. players, I am certain that some of them feel like, okay, I'll be back and we're going to win the next time. And that's what you want. Over the years, the participation from the U.S. players has grown almost exponentially. And you had a situation in this tournament where really all of the best players wanted to play for Team USA. So I would expect that that would continue. And I would expect that maybe the next time the overall passion that we're going to see from these guys just about joining the team is even greater than it was this year. And it was pretty darn great this year.
Passion's been unbelievable. And we've heard a lot of players say bigger than a World Series. Bigger than a World Series, Derek Jeter?
I think the people that said it's bigger than a World Series never played in the World Series.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Some sound from the Fox crew last night, the broadcast. Kevin Burkhardt asking Derek Jeter, is it true this is bigger than a World Series? And, of course, a panel of A-Rod, Jeter, Big Papi. It's like, oh. That panel's just never going to do it for me. I don't think any of them are bad analysts. It just feels so stuffy as a Brewers fan. Like, oh, I'm going to be beat over the head with Jeter and A-Rod and Big Papi. It's like, man, my favorite players were J.J. Hardy. Like, this is not for me, and that's fine. But Derek Jeter saying, well, I think people who say it's bigger than a World Series have never played in a World Series. You know, so funny. The other piece of sound, Ken Rosenthal projecting what future World Baseball Classics might look like, and continued interest and passion from players from the United States wanting to come back and win. They got second in this one. If you weren't paying attention last night, I want to begin with the World Baseball Classic, the United States winning the silver. There were medals. I don't know, can you call them silver medalists? They got second place. They lost the final last night to Venezuela. I believe 3-2 was the final score. It was tied in the eighth. Bryce Harper, big home run, cool moment. But ultimately, the United States falling short. So I want to start with just a couple minutes on that. A lot of other things to get to as well, though. I want to circle back to a conversation we had yesterday about the Dolphins, some of the moves that they've been making, how that impacts the Packers. Plus, I just think we're going to keep a distant interest for now in Jeff Hafley and to a lesser degree, John Eric Sullivan, just like we kept a distant interest with Aaron Rodgers after he left Green Bay. So we'll check in. Anything interesting going on in the NFL offseason, any storylines that we get, we'll probably talk about, especially if they include even a former Packer like Jeff Hafley or Malik Willis, who's also down there. So I want to get to that. And also, this should be a real treat. In hour number two, I want to play some sound from Rick Schlesinger, president of business operations for our Milwaukee Brewers, joined Bill earlier today to talk about the details with Brewers television, I will pass that information along. I think it's entertaining as well as informational for those of you wondering where and when you'll be able to watch the Brewers. He also talked about improvements around the ballpark. We can have some fun with that. Some changes coming to American Family Field in 2026. And my personal favorite topic right now, the traffic, because that road has been blown 6 ways till Sunday. Not really entirely sure what problem they were aiming to solve. Oh, traffic. I've talked about this before. I don't think Milwaukee traffic's that bad. Now, granted, I've never lived in Waukesha and commuted to downtown Milwaukee every day. So am I the best person to comment on this? No, probably not. I just don't consider 6 extra minutes of sitting in your car going from Tosa to downtown. I don't consider that traffic. It's certainly not worth a 3-year expansion project on 94, but it's going to make opening day a mess. Rick Schlesinger had a good breakdown of what that means for Brewers fans who are coming to the park in 2026. We'll play that audio from Bill's show earlier today. Oh, and Nick Osen at the very end. He'll check in. He's out in Portland. He saw the Badgers practice earlier today. We'll get ready for the start of March Madness tomorrow. Okay, that's the rundown. You know the phone number. If not, put it in your phone, 608-321-1670. I want to start with the World Baseball Classic. This thing did not grab me. I did not feel the passion and the patriotism and the pride. Not because I'm not proud to be an American. How can I be proud of my country? It's not like a Dixie Chicks thing. The event just didn't really grab me. And 4 years ago, I had a blast. That moment between Ohtani and Trout, that one grabbed me. This one really didn't. Now, I know what some of you are saying. Well, Grant, I mean, it's easy to say that when your team loses in the final. Of course, you turned your TV off last night thinking, whatever, not a big deal. Didn't really care that much. Maybe. But I also went to bed. I checked myself going to bed last night. I turned off my television. I remember I was at the foot of my bed, turned off the television. My white noise machine is on my entertainment center. So I'm not making this up. This is a very specific memory that I still have of last night and what I was thinking last night. I turned my television off. I set the remote on my nightstand. I went to my entertainment center to turn on my white noise machine, set it at a very specific volume. So I wouldn't last a day in the wild. I couldn't sleep without this thing. Anyway, I turned on my white noise machine and I was thinking, it doesn't really bother me that much that the United States didn't win. And then I checked myself internally. I said, Grant, are you only saying that because is this cope? Are you coping because your team lost? And then, again, inviting you into my internal dialogue, I said, no, because I wasn't that excited at the idea of them winning. I wasn't sitting on the foot of my bed watching my television thinking, oh, if only Judge smacks one here. Oh, yeah, if only. Like, I was just kind of, what time is it? Okay, this is probably going to be done. Can I sneak in an episode of Mad Men before bed? Probably shouldn't. I'll be pushing it. But I'm in a really good spot in season 3. Do I want? I just wasn't all that bought in. And I don't know why. Because after the Olympics, I think we were all probably hot and bothered for more international competition. I think the people at Fox who were broadcasting and had the rights to this thing and were selling it and were presenting it as a television product, I think they were probably all in boardrooms at the beginning of this thing saying, this is perfect. People are all fired up about the Olympics, Team USA, USA, Alyssa Liu, the hockey teams both winning gold. There were others. I'm sure I'm forgetting. Oh, and the curling. Don't mention the curling. I'm sure the folks at Fox when this thing started were thinking, this is going to be great. People are going to be all over this because the Olympics just ended. Everybody's fired up for gold medals and beating other countries. They're going to jump into this thing with both feet. And maybe a lot of people did. I guess I don't know. I'm not someone who obsesses over television ratings. I don't even know if we have the cumulative ratings yet for the World Baseball Classic. I don't know. Didn't really do it for me. And I spent a lot of today thinking, why not? Why are there some sporting events that grab us and why are there some sporting events that don't? I am not someone who will, you don't get my viewership no matter what in sports. I will watch the Brewers. I'll watch the Packers. I'll watch most Badger football and Badger basketball games. I'll watch what I consider to be a fair share of Bucks games. This year, that's been fewer just because why? And other than that, all the other stuff, you got to earn it. You know what I mean? I'm not someone, I work in sports radio. I got to watch 3 games tonight, even if my team's not involved. No, watch something else. I am not a sports fan or a sports psycho or a sports nerd who will just sit down and watch whatever's on intently just because. You got to earn it a little bit. I think that's okay. Not everything needs to be full bore. I'm bought in. I'm fired up. I'm cheering for this team. And this World Baseball Classic never got there for me. I it's not because I didn't have a rooting interest. Bryce Trang was on Team USA. Certainly plenty of star power. Harper, Schwarber, Judge. The pitching left a little bit to be desired. I think that's maybe contributing to this a little bit. Like Tarek Skubal or Paul Skeens should have been pitching in the final last night. Or Garrett Crochet, or who fill in whatever unbelievable ace. There's 5 to 10 guys in Major League Baseball who would apply. And instead, we got 2 guys who weren't really all that special. And it's because the Major League Baseball clubs were dictating pitching rules for the guys who were pitching in the World Baseball Classic. Okay. I also just watched the hockey teams and the hockey players in the Olympics, and I think a lot of those guys told their teams, F off, here's what I'm going to do. I think Matthew Tkachuk specifically handled his injury and his rehab to be available for the Olympics. I think that's how he... Now, whether that's good or bad for the NHL or good or bad for the Panthers and Matthew Tkachuk, that's a separate conversation. But I think the players, the hockey players, dictated terms as much as they could. The NHL has to play ball and the union has to sign off on things. But who has the power in the union? The players. So maybe that was part of it. Maybe like if Paul Skeens would have been on the hill last night, I would have been a little bit more bought in, or Tarek Skubal. I still don't think that would have fully done it. I think, and this is best illustrated when comparing the hockey team that beat Canada in the gold medal game to the baseball team that got the silver medal or second place in the World Baseball Classic. I think I need my United States team to be an underdog to really go full bore. Now, I wasn't around in 1980 for that gold medal game, but those of you who were, I have to imagine that was a pretty big part of it. Like, how can anyone ever beat the Soviets? It's not called the victory on ice or the foregone conclusion on ice. It's called the miracle on ice because no one thought that Soviet team could be beaten, and the United States, gosh darn it, they did it, right? So I think, and it felt that way in this previous Olympics. I don't think the difference between the United States and the Canadians last month was as significant as the United States and the Soviets in 1980, but that Canada team was pretty freaking loaded. And it felt like the United States was going to have to get a couple of things to go their way, and they were going to have some great performances. They got some things to go their way. Nathan McKinnon just had the gold medal on his stick and missed it. Connor Hellebuck played one of his best high leverage games ever. He's a guy who's never, played big in big spots, and wouldn't you know what he did in that game? And that was a big reason why they won. And they needed some good fortune, of course, but they were the underdog, and that made it so satisfying. In a baseball, I'm like, can I really get that fired up to watch Judge, Harper, Schwarber, Will Smith? It's maybe the same reason that I don't really like the desk at Fox. I was like, I check in here to watch A-Rod, Jeter, and Big Papi. Now, the Fox team for football is Terry Bradshaw. Okay, won a lot, big time winner, but small town guy, from way back in the day. He's from Louisiana, played for Pittsburgh, blue collar. Howie Long doesn't seem pretentious. Maybe he is. That doesn't matter because we're reacting to a personality on television. Strahan seems very much a giant, big market player, but I don't get the ick watching that team like maybe I do watching Jeter. Like, look at how tan and primp and proper Jeter and A-Rod are. I think I need it. I think I need an underdog story. So I don't know. Maybe I'll be more fired up for the World Baseball Classic in a couple years because it's time for the United States to get their comeuppance. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing it. I think I need my international team to be an underdog. Same reason I don't really get much from watching our basketball team in the Olympics. Now, was it 2 summers ago in the Olympics? Yeah, it would have been 2 summers ago, 2024 in the Summer Olympics, if I'm remembering correctly, when the United States won gold, but it was close. And a big part of the reason they were able to win gold is because Steph Curry had some unbelievable moments. Okay. Like if Aaron Judge goes nuclear in the World Baseball Classic, that might do something for me. Or if Bryce Harper came close. He had a nice moment last night, like a Sal Frelick or a Jake Bauers memorial home run. Cool moment in the bottom of the 8th that didn't matter because the 9th went sideways. I think I need my team to be plucky underdog, which is hard to come by as a fan of United States sports internationally because we're just not underdogs in most things. Hockey, we are. It's gotten closer, but still underdogs to Canada. Canada was the better team. Just ask Nathan McKinnon. And I think last night, I don't know if they were underdogs to Venezuela. I don't know what the betting spread was. I don't care. But it felt very equal. And it's really hard for me to look at any lineup that has Judge, Schwarber, Will Smith. It's like that team is the underdog. Like even if they are on a betting slip, I'm not supposed to watch that team and think, hopefully they can overcome. Hopefully that plucky group of kids from America, hopefully they can get it done. Team Italy was a cool story and kind of a funny story just because it kind of seemed like a bunch of Italian kids from New Jersey, which, yes, thank you, which I think is what Vinny Pasquantino said, or that was one of the comments from a player from Team Italy. It's like, yeah, it's just kind of a bunch of guys from Jersey. Thank you, Kevin Burkhardt again, yes. So that was a cool story. Didn't really feel as pure as maybe an Olympic event would have. Certainly didn't feel as pure as curling. God, it's all I think about, curling, when I go to sleep. I don't know what I'm going to do without curling the next 4 years till we get another example of curling in the Olympics. I got to watch in the Paralympics. It was still on Peacock. Thank God that my Peacock subscription still provides me curling. That's my thought on the World Baseball Classic. It was fine. I'm not going to sit here and kick and scream that the United States didn't matter enough to them. It didn't. I watched Venezuela celebrate last night, and I didn't feel anything. And I sat down, bought in. I turned it on. I'm like, I think this is going to be great. I was open-minded. I was ready to be swept away, just as I was swept away last year when I watched the Four Nations. I don't know much about hockey. I certainly don't watch it a ton, but take me away. And it did. I got swept up into that thing, just like I got swept up in the Olympic hockey. I at no point was I swept up by this, and that's okay. Right, wow. Compelling lead to the show, right? That big event that was on last night. I could take it or leave it. Strong commentary. If you have thoughts on this, I will take your calls next. 608-321-1670. Otherwise, I have a couple more baseball thoughts, more Brewers related as they're in action down in Arizona today. So we'll be back 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, welcome back. A couple opening comments on the World Baseball Classic. I have a tidbit or two regarding the Brewers. They're in action right now down in spring training, opening day a week from tomorrow. So we'll circle back to the Brewers an hour or two as well. Rick Schlesinger joined Bill earlier to talk about the situation with Brewers TV and where you can find the games. He also talked about improvements at the ballpark, the traffic situation, just good, really good, degenerate Brewers stuff. So we'll get to that in the second hour. Nick Osen will be here to talk Badgers as well. He's out in Portland. But a couple of your phone calls here to begin this segment, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, it's old Clemhead.
The old Clemhead up in Chippewa Falls. What's going on, Mike? How are you?
The old Clemhead's turning 69 next month.
Nice.
Good. How are you?
Well, that's not old. 69 is the new... 69 is the new 49. That's what they say. I am well. I'm happy to be back in studio after missing Monday. I'm annoyed that had to happen.
I was worried about you. I was going to send you a text Sunday night, but yeah, I'm glad you made it back safely. I was going to say a couple things. I watched a bit of the baseball classic, but my pet peeve is if there's a country like the USA that pays a player multi-millions of dollars a year, I think you should have to play for the United States. I'm sorry, but you guys are probably even U.S. citizens. Then you're going to play for Venezuela. Screw you guys.
I mean, so spiritually, on some level, I don't disagree because these guys live and play baseball in the United States. A lot of them do go home to their home countries in the off season, so it's not like all of them are full time, full blown citizens who live here 24/7. I do appreciate the World Baseball Classic and the Olympics differently. The Olympics are a little bit more stringent. It feels like a lot of guys in the United States just like, I'm from an Italian family in Jersey and I'm going to play for Team Italy. And I don't know that I agree with that, although I guess it was kind of entertaining. So maybe we should just be okay with it. I don't know.
Yeah. Churio should have played for the America. He's a Brewer. Okay, Grant, I told everybody in the live stream, I'm calling you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So Rick from Spencer says, ask Grant what he did in Denver. And Gooseegg says, Mike, ask him if he'd rather rewatch Dune or the WBC. And Wisco Greaves, Tyler, and Mass says, what channel is the Brewers going to be on?
So, oh my God. So I'm going to lose my mind over the channel thing. We'll get to that. Put a pin in that. In Denver, I was just there for a friend's birthday. So I didn't really talk about it on the show much because it was a surprise. A couple friends flew out there to surprise him for his birthday. And he occasionally listens to nice. I'm not going to act like he listens every day, but he will pull the YouTube up occasionally. And that just would have been a lame way to spoil. We got slowed down a day by travel. And now I see that power went out at the Denver airport today, which grounded all international flights. I don't think I would have been well had that happened. It took us one extra day to get back because of the snow. If a power outage took down a whole airport and made me even later, I might have just stayed in Denver. I said, that's it. I'm done with the job. I'm staying out here now because I can't do with delayed flights.
You know what we do? What you said before, and I agreed with you. Midwest guys, you just drive. I've driven that far. It's not that bad.
Yeah, I know.
I know, but the weather would be horrible. But yeah. So okay, we got the. I'm looking at all the.
No, I think I can do Dune. I appreciate it, Clement. I think I'd rather watch Dune. They're not like my favorite movies that I've ever seen. They're good. Chalamet's good. Although now I think people might have Chalamet fatigue. I was seeing some think pieces written about that today. I didn't read them because nobody reads anything. We just look at the headlines. That's a lie. I was reading Kurt Hoag's story at the Journal Sentinel over the commercial break, so I do read some things. But a lot of it's like you see a lot of people think there's Chalamet fatigue when really it's just some BuzzFeed blogger who posted the headline so people can quote tweet it and interact with it. I'd rather watch Dune. I kind of like Dune. I'm excited for the third one. That's all I have to really say about Dune. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Chalamet got screwed at the Oscars. Let's be real. Marty Supreme.
Who did he lose to?
I think Michael B. Jordan from Sinners.
How long has Sinners been out? I feel like Sinners, how is it in charge? I also think that Sinners might have a succession arc where we all look back at it in a year or two and we're like, man, maybe we all might have gotten a little too into Sinners. You know what I mean? Just maybe. I think it has that potential.
Yeah, I remember when Succession was wrapping up and like people are saying it's the greatest show of all time, and I don't know.
It was good.
It was okay.
We got pretty into it though as a society, and now I look back, I'm like, this is kind of a cool show, but like this is all anyone was talking about. There were podcasts and reaction shows and think pieces. It's like it was fine. So I wonder if we get that with Sinners. Although nothing can ever be too good for too long in this society, because it's with Chalamet. The second that somebody or something gets too big, we gotta knock it down.
Well, I think he got knocked down because he made some comments about ballet and orchestra and like how nobody wants to go see those things. So he's pretty based. I think that upset the voters a little bit.
Pete Monona would not like to hear that as a fan of. Well, I know he's a fan of the symphony. I guess I don't know what Pete Monona has to say about ballet or opera. Seems like an opera guy though. Opera and orchestra and symphony, those seem to be kind of similar.
Yeah, sounds like that's right up his alley. And like, you know, the arts are usually publicly funded, so even better for Pete.
Yeah, all right. Do you have I got Nick Osen coming up. Your guy, Nick Osen, cone roller. Is there anything relating to Badgers basketball or the Brewers before I let you go? Although I did like this Oscars breakdown.
Badger basketball, you know, the more time goes on, I'm ready for tomorrow afternoon. I'm ready to see, you know, us get over that 5-12 hump. And I mean, I think they win. I don't see an area where Vagabond John said yesterday, you know, all these guys just go ice cold. I just can't see it.
Even if they do, I think they should still win. Appreciate it, Cone. And you know what I wrote down in my notes today? I feel like Badgers fans, we should be a little bit more fired up than we are. I think this team has the balls. And if not for the scar tissue of the last 10 years of early round exits, like, would we be so nervous about this game? I'm not even nervous, but would we be hesitant at all if not for the James Madison debacle 2 years ago? You know what I mean? Like last year, it's hard to blame them for last year. They're playing BYU at altitude. They still almost won. You know, like I just think we have a couple of real bad losses, and the team hasn't been out of the first weekend in the last decade. I think if we just examine this matchup and this team in a vacuum, I think we'd maybe be a little bit more excited, a little bit more aggressive, more aggro, more confident. Because this is a team I keep hearing from this person, from that analyst, from this former player, from that media member, that this is, if not the best backcourt in the country, one of them with Nick Boyd and John Blackwell. Now they get Nolan Winter back. I don't have a lot. This is going to sound overly critical. I don't have a lot of use for Rapp or Rhodey. I think they're both solid players, but you know, those guys are just nice, solid, veteran, rotational wings, you know, who can just chuck a bunch of threes, and they can do some other things too. And I give Rapp a lot of credit because he was a starter, then he got hurt, he was injured, and now bench, and now he's back. So I'm not trying to rip those two guys, but really for me, it's Boyd and Blackwell. I think Winter providing the necessary just fill at the post position. As I explained last night, I don't think Nolan Winter, I haven't watched a Badgers game and come away thinking, man, Nolan Winter went out and won them that game. He's played well, and the numbers look good. But I have not watched Nolan Winter put the team on his back and drag them over the finish line by the balls the way I have with Boyd and Blackwell. And that's no slight because Boyd and Blackwell are really good. But I think Nolan Winter is a tier beneath for sure. And I'm with you, Cone. I think maybe we should be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more confident. A couple of texts on the World Baseball Classic. What a dumbass statement. He's a Brewer, so he's American. So all players are American. Now, interesting. I didn't say that. You can criticize Clemhead Mike takes if you want. I didn't say that. I think Jackson Churio is very Venezuelan. Lived there for, I mean, he's been in America for what, 3 or 4 years? So a lot of these guys they go back to the Dominican Republic in the offseason. I don't know how many of them go back to Venezuela. I don't know. I don't care. Mississippi Drew, I don't think our team is as likable on the World Baseball Classic. They seem kind of stuck up and joyless. I kind of enjoy the glimpse of how much better our game is with all of these international players playing in America. Oh, now there's an interesting take. You get a view of what American baseball looks like without some of the personality, for better or worse, of Wilson Contreras, for example, who had his foot on the railing and he's sticking his ass in the air. Like, God. But I think that's an interesting take, Mississippi Drew. I kind of enjoy the glimpse of how much better our game is with all these international players playing in America. Interesting take. The Brewers playing right now, by the way, Garrett Mitchell was hitting leadoff today. I was interested to see what he would do, if anything. Kyle Harrison, 2.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 runs, only 1 earned, but gave up 2 homers. Interesting. Garrett Mitchell, 2 at-bats so far, no hits, 1 strikeout. His average is at 87 or .087 throughout the spring. Kurt Hoag's got a really good piece out today at the Journal-Sentinel about Brandon Lockridge and how his bat speed has increased. Let me read you a little bit. His numbers in that realm were not particularly did not particularly stand out across his 148 plate appearances between Milwaukee and San Diego a season ago, with his 71.1 mile per hour average ranking around 30th, the 30th percentile in baseball. But Lockridge, a well-built, twitchy athlete, has always had more in the tank. In his first series with the Brewers after coming in for a deal for Nestor Cortez and Jorge Quintana at the deadline last summer, he smoked a single with an 84.6 mile per hour swing. That was the 3rd fastest swing on a base hit by a Brewer hitter all year. This year, Lockridge, who has averaged fewer than 7 homers per season in his minor league career, wants to tap into some of that athleticism and the ability to hit the ball hard. Now, he's swinging with an average bat speed a few ticks up at 74 miles per hour. So for following along at home, it's up to just over 71, just less than 3 miles per hour more at 74. I'm one of those guys where I can't be max effort, Lockridge said. When I'm max effort, I'm out of control. So naturally putting weight on, I'm stronger. I swing the bat faster. I kind of like to roll it at 75% because once the lights turn on at 75%, that's more your batting cage, 75%. Not sure exactly what that means, but baseball, I'm sure it makes sense. That's my thing. I've done bat speed programs in the past, and that just teaches me to be max effort. And then I can't turn that off when I get out there. Then I'm swinging at everything. Lockridge has made some swing changes, getting more into his lower half compared to last season, which featured more use of his hands. It's a direct effort to hit more for power without trying to hit for more power. Quote, I've always been a contact guy, so I played to my strength, and it should be my strength, said Lockridge, a former 5th-round draft pick of the Yankees. But I want to be aggressive early in the count, especially in hitters' counts. I've been shortchanging myself. I guess you could say shooting singles the other way early in counts when you can get a good pitch to hit and do damage with it. That's basically the gist of it. Kurt wrote more about what coaches he worked with and what players he worked on or programs he worked on. Again, Garrett Mitchell v. Brandon Lockridge. They could both make the roster. They could both start in AAA. It's not exclusive, but those are 2 players specifically that I've been watching over the last week, as I detailed in last night's show. We'll take a break, come back. I have a couple NFL things that I want to hit. We also have a Giannis story that we should probably discuss. So a loaded show tonight with lots of different topics. We're going to bounce around plenty, so don't go anywhere.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
The Dolphins have more or less made everybody on their roster available and have said to teams that they will listen to offers on just about anybody. But in the case of HN, he's in a contract year, which lessens his value. And, really when you're looking at what they're going to be trying to do in year one and establishing some credibility and trying to put the team in position to win games, the run game is going to have to be a part of that because this is a team that now is devoid of both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And so when you look at the makeup of their offense, they've already stripped it down to some degree. And if you're Jeff Hafley coming in as new head coach, you've got to give your team something to hang his hat on. So that's why you bring Malik Willis over from Green Bay, because you want to give your players a fighting chance. And I think having someone like HN on the roster will give them a fighting chance.
It's a little bit from Albert Breer, Sports Illustrated. Build on a conversation we had yesterday. Jalen Waddle was traded by the Dolphins. This impacts Jeff Hafley. It impacts Malik Willis, which has been a big talking point in the last 24 hours. Like, I wonder how Malik Willis feels. I mean, his other options were Cardinals and Jets. It's not like the Vikings were calling. I mean, maybe they were. We don't know. They're going to basically get Kyler Murray to play for him for free. Everyone's saying, well, how does Malik Willis feel about this? Jalen Waddle being traded away. This led to last night us kicking around an idea. It's like, well, maybe they would make Achane available. 1 year left on his deal. The Packers were interested in him last year, reportedly. Maybe they would still be interested in him. Be a great change of pace back to play alongside Josh Jacobs. He's only under contract for 1 more year, and I think it's something like $5 or $6 million. So very doable. And then we, stole Peter Bukowski's idea. What about Jaden Reed for Devon Achane straight up? I don't think the Packers are coming out ahead on that trade, and I don't even like Jaden Reed that much. I don't like Jaden Reed that much. I think he's banged up a lot. drops a lot of passes, small. I would take a running back. I would take a stud running back like Achane. I also laugh a little bit at the idea that Albert Brewer is saying where they're making everyone available, but they need to keep some sort of competence. So that's why they'll keep Achane. Wait, so they don't want to do a full teardown. They don't want to do a full rebuild. So they're going to hang on to the running back who's under contract for one more year? Now, the running back is assumedly worth less than some of the other players they've traded away. They weren't going to get a first and a third for Achane like they got for Waddle. So sure, the price factors in too. It's just like, well, we don't want to be so bad. We don't want to be terrible. We'll keep the running back. Like, okay, well, I maybe would have kept a player at a position that meant a little more for a bad team. Here's 60 seconds of Nick Wright on Dan Patrick earlier this morning, talking about some of the Dolphins' moves. And I have a thing or two that I want to add to this.
Jeff Hafley has, familiarity with him. In order to evaluate any of, I assume they're going to draft a receiver, like young players on the roster, you need to have a level of competency at quarterback. And if they end up having the number one pick, but they think despite that Malik shows them enough, then they can really supercharge the reload by flipping that number one pick. And if they, if he plays well enough for them not to have the number one pick, then they sign the right guy. And if not, it's not like they signed him to a 5-year huge guarantee. And even if they get the number one pick and draft a quarterback, you still might be like, okay, but Malik, you start next year, and then maybe he's a trade chip if he plays well. So I think what they're doing logically, if you said, Nick, you're taking over the Dolphins, I would have done a lot of the same things. Like, let's take our medicine right now and then try to move forward. But they are going to be the worst team in the league by a lot next year.
First of all, I'm not sure that the Dolphins will be the worst team in the league next year by a lot. I don't know. Maybe, possibly. But to treat it like a foregone conclusion, I think the Cardinals could be ass. Well, Grant, they have Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, and they did last year too. So we're assuming the Cardinals are going to be better. We're assuming the Jets are just going to be better. The Jets signed Geno Smith or traded for Geno Smith. Well, Grant, Geno Smith has looked competent at times. Yeah, playing for a good organization. The Seahawks. The second that he was out of there, he went back to being awful. And he arguably went from the one team that's worse than the Raiders, the Jets. So not really the point that Nick Wright is making in 60 seconds of audio. The big takeaway or the point that he's making is not the Dolphins are going to be the worst team in football, but he threw that in there at the end. And maybe they are, but I don't think it's with a bullet.
And then try to move forward. But they are going to be the worst team in the league by a lot next year.
I think a misunderstanding that folks have had around football, around the league, is that Jeff Hafley, John Eric Sullivan, we're going to roll into Miami. They're going to sign Malik Willis, and we're going to build around him. No, they're going to start building, but Malik Willis is just a part of that. Both of them got in the building and say, all right, let's start with Malik Willis. They didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for him. And if he's awesome, cool. And if he's bad, whatever, the team's not going to be great anyways. And if he's somewhere in the middle, fine. We'll have a plan for every reality. We're going to draft quarterback. The Dolphins are going to draft quarterbacks anyways. You think John Eric Sullivan spent 15 years in Green Bay being a scout, isn't going to go to Miami? And you think John Eric Sullivan's going to go down there and say, well, I don't need to draft a quarterback. We signed Malik Willis. What world have you lived in where you think that's how the Packers operate? Well, we're not going to waste a pick on a quarterback. We just signed Malik Willis. Yeah, the Packers would draft 6 quarterbacks if that was their quarterback reality. Of course, that's John Eric Sullivan's background. But I think Malik Willis is just a building block. If Malik Willis is a star, as some maybe think he could be, well, then 1 year without Jalen Waddle isn't going to kill him. And if he is what I think most people believe he is, which is a fine, solid quarterback who goes about his business the right way and can run a little bit and can make some throws, well, then he's the perfect guy around whom you can rebuild and draft other quarterbacks and develop and draft other young players. I think that was a point that I've heard people make, and Nick might have even made it in that soundbite. I think somewhere in the middle is you need a competent quarterback to judge your new draft pick at wide receiver and your new draft pick at left tackle and your new center and your corner. Like, the Dolphins are going to draft a ton of players. They have a ton of picks. He's got another first rounder, another third rounder. They improved at their fourth round spot. I believe they did an exchange of the fourth round picks. In order for them to know, in order for them to evaluate and to draft a wide receiver or to draft a tight end or to draft a lineman, they need a competent quarterback around whom to build. Malik Willis can be that guy. But I think a lot of people had some misrepresentation. The Dolphins were going to sign Malik Willis. All right, let's go all in. We're building around Malik Willis. No. The first building block, and maybe not even a cornerstone, maybe just a brick. Not even that important of a brick, because that's how John Eric Sullivan's going to operate. I'm interested to see Jeff Hafley and how he coaches through this thing and how he navigates through this thing. He got to Green Bay with Xavier McKinney and a defense that already had, some nice talent on it. Edgerrin Cooper was just drafted. Evan Williams had just been drafted. And then the next year he got Micah Parsons. And now he's going to a team that's pretty bereft of talent in a city that doesn't know how to win, a market that's pretty distracted. You got players driving all over the place. It's South Beach. There's a lot to do. Oh, so our team's not any good. I'm going to collect my money and live in Florida. And who can blame him? That's what Jeff Hafley's been tasked with. But no, I don't think the Dolphins with a bullet will necessarily be the worst team in football next year. The Cardinals exist. The Jets exist, for goodness sake.
Worst team in the league by a lot. By a lot.
By a lot next year.
By a lot next year.
This text from Paul and McGuanago says, another point as far as Lambeau goes, I predict the Packers will build a new stadium. Not sure when. They will want a dome to host other events. I'm of the opinion that Green Bay will have to keep up with the rising costs and facility upgrades. It's just the way it'll be. I also believe that more games will be controlled by NFL Network, and average folks will have to pay to watch their teams. Fans who go to games are less important than they were years ago. The Packers care more about their fans, but in the big picture, the NFL has demonstrated by their actions that it's easy to move home games to other parts of the world. The NFL has only begun its global reach. Japan, Australia, and China are next. That I would agree with. Times are a-changing, and Green Bay must keep up. The question is if we can do the same. Paul, I agree that they will probably need some sort of naming rights at some point. I think it'll probably be like Culver's Stadium at Lambeau Field, whatever, something like that. It's not going to be the end of the world. I don't know that it ever makes sense for Green Bay to have a dome stadium. If Green Bay builds a 4 seasons indoor facility, like what is Paul McCartney going to come tour in Green Bay now when previously he wasn't? Like Chicago can build an enclosed stadium because they're Chicago. They could host a Super Bowl. There are massive world tours that'll stop there. Green Bay can get, Billy Joel here and there. They can get acts, but I don't know that an enclosed 4 seasons facility is going to completely and totally economically transform the reality of the Packers in Green Bay, just because I don't know how much scaling ability. I know Green Bay's growing, and I know that, but it's a little different. I'm with you that the league will have more control. I don't think the NFL Network's going to take over games, but I don't think we're that far off from networks being priced out, meaning Fox, CBS, NBC. It's no longer worth the money, even as a loss leader. Like I can't pay what Google can pay. I can't pay what Amazon can pay. I can't pay what Netflix can pay. Fox is losing too much money carrying the NFL. That will be a sad day, but I don't think it'll go to NFL Network. It'll go to, you have to think of the carriers or the companies that are larger than broadcast networks. And the NFL is not. The NFL is just another one. It's a smaller one. But Google, Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, those companies, that's coming one day, and that's going to suck. It'll be behind a paywall. Speaking of behind a paywall, Rick Schlesinger, 5 o'clock. I'm going to play you some comments that he had on Bill's show earlier about how you can watch the Brewers. Coming up next, we have a Giannis story. This is a juicy one. We'll wrap up hour number 1 with that on the other side. Just 3 minutes. Be right back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin weather doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, we make upgrading your home simple. Right now, order today and get 0% interest until 2032. You heard me right. 0% interest all the way until 2032. Upgrade your windows and doors now and pay over time without paying interest. With our 10-year limited warranty, you can feel confident in your investment. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. 3/31/2026.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Malika, once again, the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo are in disagreement about where his future is at. Right now, it's about his playing status. And the Milwaukee Bucks, sources tell me, want Giannis to shut down for the remainder of the season with his latest injury, the hyperextension in his knee that he suffered the other day. That's his 5th injury of the year. He's had a groin injury, 2 calf strains, an ankle injury. Now this, they want him not to play the rest of the year. They have tried for him to shut down. Giannis, though, has refused them wanting to shut him down. He has made it clear to John Horst, the Bucks general manager, and the Bucks staff that he will not shut himself down, that he intends to return to play this season. He has been adamant in the last 24 hours. I don't care if the Bucks are going to try to shut me down. I am playing the rest at some point the rest of this season. And so this is just another one of the situations. We know what happened at the deadline. We know what happened in the offseason when there were trade conversations, and Giannis informed the Bucks that he believed it was time to move on. But right now, this is a Bucks team whose playoff odds are significantly dwindled as the last several weeks of the season go on. But Giannis and the Bucks in disagreement about how the next few weeks should play out.
More from Shams Charania. Eric Name had the story first today, by the way. Hat tip to Eric Name. Shams, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, had it. And again, I want to point this out. I am not someone who believes that Shams is just making stuff up all the time. Gets a little tiring, but Giannis and the Bucks both play a part in that. But as always, I will point out that you would think after all these years, he would still be able to, well, one, smoothly talk on television, but that seems like a lost cause. But pronouncing Giannis Antetokounmpo is also a lost cause, apparently.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, my God. So I'm Team Bucks on this. The Bucks are 28-40, meaning they've played 68 games. Correct? I have that number correct? 40 plus 28 is 68. Giannis this season has played how many now? How many are we up to? Stats, not nearly enough. He has played so far this year in 36. He's played in 36 games. So what is that? 68 minus 36, 68 minus 36. Never do math on the air, but I'm built different. He's played in missed 32 games this year. Missed 32 of 68 games. If I'm the Bucks, I'd be like, Giannis, dude, grow up. Just grow up. I want to play. Yeah, well, you know what, Giannis? We all want a lot of things. I wanted you to be healthy for the entire season up until this point, and you've missed 32 games. So playing 6 of the final 15 or whatever, like it's done. I need Giannis to grow up a little bit. I just need him to grow up a little bit. and just understand what's going on here. And I found this cut from ESPN. This is Kendrick Perkins. So I'm on Team Bucks here, but not for the reason that Kendrick Perkins is talking about here.
How should Milwaukee handle his availability?
You know what I really would encourage Giannis to go watch Kevin Garnett's speech when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Right? And Kevin Garnett said, my biggest regret was not getting out of Minnesota and getting to Boston sooner. Why do I bring that up? You know what was the breaking point for Kevin Garnett and the Minnesota Timberwolves? When they asked Kevin Garnett to do the exact same thing. Do I feel bad for Giannis Antetokounmpo? Hell no. You made this bed. Lay in it. You knew what was coming up. You knew that this team was on the verge of quote-unquote tanking. You know that they were tanking and it wasn't going anywhere.
So this is what I take issue with. They weren't tanking coming into this year. Paid a bunch of money to go get Miles Turner. They ate a bunch of money to get rid of Damian Lillard, which offended Giannis. I don't understand why. It's like he's not playing this year. And he's not. He's out in Portland effing off because he's back in the city where everything's comfortable and cozy. He can fart around to do the three-point contest. I'm not playing this year. Jason Tatum is. Whatever. Jason Tatum is. That's all I'm saying. So I think the Bucks, while not perfect, have done just about anything in their power to make this team as good as possible. And to say, well, Giannis should have seen this coming. Well, Giannis has missed 32 of the 68 games so far. Is that supposed to be the Bucks' fault? Giannis should have asked to leave. Well, yeah. I mean, I knew that he was going to miss 32 of 68, I might have helped him back. So I'm Team Bucks here. Like, it's okay, Giannis, just go start your offseason, man. Get healthy. I want to play. Well, I want a lot of things, but I'm an adult. I want to go run around outside in my underwear and eat candy all day. But I have to have a job and health insurance because I'm an adult, kind of. And to be clear, that was just an example. If I could do anything with my time, it wouldn't be running around outside in my underwear and eating candy. Oh, I'd like to be outside. Swim trunks, maybe. Not underwear. But I have a job. I'm here on the air at 4 every day. And I have health insurance. And I do my taxes. Not because it's fun. Not because I'm a proud competitor. But because I'm an adult. And I just shout out to Tony in Texas, who's made comments like this, critiques like this in the past. I just need Giannis to grow up just a little bit. So Giannis and the Bucks are fighting about whether or not he should play more and shut down. Meanwhile, you have Thanasis doing a live podcast with Ric Flair because that's something that people are going to attend. I guess that's your thing. If you're a big Thanalysis fan, not criticizing you. It's just, I'm just ready for this season to end. And the Bucks should feel the same way. And Giannis should understand that. I'm not saying he needs to be thrilled with it, but dude, I'm not thrilled with you missing how many games so far? 36? It's done. And 2 or 3 of those games he left early, so they're not full games. So it's like, what, 32 games? Season's done, man. Sorry. You don't have to like it. I don't want you to like it. I want you to be bummed and frustrated that your body couldn't stay on the court this year. Bucks have got stuff to figure out too, but it's not just on the Bucks. Let's hear from Rick Schlesinger. Why don't we when we come back? Lots of good updates on the Brewers. We'll get to that right after Zach's update. Evo's update, I think. We'll be right back.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Oh, Wisconsin basketball is in Portland. That's where they'll play High Point tomorrow for the first round of the NCAA tournament. Head coach Greg Gard talks on where they started in January to where they are now in March.
Just how they have grown together. I mean, just where we were back in November, December, a lot of the prognosticators in January had us not in this tournament, and we've been on an ascension from, mid-January on, and just how they've improved, how they bonded together, how their toughness has grown, how their connectivity has grown. We've had individual players take steps forward. I can't name anybody that hasn't gotten better.
Gard also said earlier this week that Nolan Winter and Jack Janicki both have taken steps forward to playing in the first round tournament. Again, that will be tomorrow, 12:50 against High Point. Turning to the Bucks, they would fall at the Pfizer Forum last night, 123-116 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Without Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has been sidelined for any of his 13-year career, and the Bucks are now 11-20 without him. The Deer will be back in action tomorrow when they're in Utah to face the Jazz.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Wisconsin football will start spring ball tomorrow. That will begin 15 sessions to introduce close to 50 new players since last time they took the field in November, which includes Old Dominion's Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, Wisconsin's new quarterback, Colton Joseph. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Evo.
I am certain that there is a burning desire among some of the younger players, Mason Miller perhaps in particular, to come back the next time there is a WBC, assuming there is one. It has to be agreed upon by the league and the union, and win this thing and win it in a big way. Now, it's tournament baseball. There is some randomness involved in the small samples. We all know that. But yes, the U.S. players, I am certain that some of them feel like, okay, I'll be back and we're going to win the next time. And that's what you want. Over the years, the participation from the U.S. players has grown almost exponentially. And you had a situation in this tournament where really all of the best players wanted to play for Team USA. So I would expect that that would continue. And I would expect that maybe the next time the overall passion that we're going to see from these guys just about joining the team is even greater than it was this year. And it was pretty darn great this year.
Passion's been unbelievable. And we've heard a lot of players say bigger than a World Series. Bigger than a World Series, Derek Jeter?
I think the people that said it's bigger than the World Series never played in the World Series.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, Nick Osen will be here at 5:20, 5:30, somewhere in there, whenever he gets a moment to step away from his reporting duties out in Portland. He's there to cover the Badgers. They play tomorrow early against High Point. Can't wait to watch that, react to it on Bill's show, and then we'll all react together tomorrow evening. And I will take your calls on Badgers basketball, but I think we're going to pause and stick with the Brewers here for a little bit. Wide open phone lines if you want to jump in, 608-321-1670. I want to hear a little bit from Rick Schlesinger, who joined Bill's show earlier today. Kind of an extension of a presser he did with some Brewers media members. I saw Hunter Baumgart was there posting some clips earlier today. We've been getting a lot of calls. When I say we, I mean me. Been getting a lot of calls between 10 to 2. People call Bill's show for a great many things. They call to go on air. I would like to talk with Bill about the Packers, please. I would like to talk with Bill about the Brewers, please. I would like to talk about Matt LaFleur with Bill, please. And then I say, all right, I'm going to put you on hold, and I'll let Bill know that you're waiting. And then I put him on hold, and then I message Bill. And then when Bill is ready to take that call, I press this little button right here, and I kick him over onto the air, and I go ahead. Eric from Madison, you're on the air. Doug from Luxembourg, you're on the air. That's probably the most common reason people call Bill's show. There's a very small minority who call Bill's show to tell Bill that he's wrong about something. And I say, yeah, I'll get right on that. There's a slightly larger minority, but still a minority of people who call in and just want me to pass along a message. For example, yesterday, Bill was talking about his bracket pool and what the prize for the bracket pool could be. And we were talking about maybe a round of golf at the River Club of Mequon. And Bill also threw out, well, maybe we could get some Al Capone roasts from Robert's Specialty Meats, sponsor, Sunset Drive in Waukesha. But then Bill's like, well, I don't know if you live up by Eau Claire or La Croix. I mean, could we ship an Al Capone roast? And then the phone's ringing off the hook. Yeah. Hey, Grant, I don't want to go on the air, but can you please tell Bill that one time I got meat delivered and they just pack it with dry ice. So you should be able to do it. Can you just tell Bill? Can you pass that along to Bill, please? Just let Bill know. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get right on that. Hey, Bill, Dwayne in New Holstein says you can, in fact, ship meat. You just need dry ice and styrofoam. He got sent Omaha steaks from his brother-in-law, so he just wanted me to let you know. So that's a reason why people will call Bill's show. They want me to deliver a message. Over the last month, probably the most common reason that people have called Bill's show is to ask me where they can watch the Brewer games this season, because the Brewers have not given out the information about what channel they'll be on. Now, the Brewers have told folks multiple times that if you were able to watch the FanDuel Sports Network on your previous provider, you will be able to watch this new iteration of Brewers TV in the same way, in the same place. We just don't know exactly where it will pop up or what it will look like yet. Now, for me, that is enough, because I'm perfectly capable of turning on my television next week and clicking guide and scrolling to see the Brewer. Oh, there it is. And I hit enter. There's a large group of people in the state of Wisconsin, and I am empathetic to some degree. Maybe not everyone is super technology literate. And I get it. Like, there's a televised Brewers game less than a week away. Opening day is a week from tomorrow. The Brewers should put something out, and it's kind of pathetic that the Brewers in Major League Baseball don't have this information for people. It is kind of dumb. I get it. But also, there's a large portion of people in the state, and most of them reside kind of up around on either side of Green Bay. So outside of Green Bay, they're never in Green Bay. They're never in Appleton. They're never in Oshkosh. It's in the smaller outskirts. It's in the horseshoe around what I would say the Fox Valley, and then up in Green Bay around Green Bay, the bay itself. These folks can be in Denmark, Luxembourg, Bonduel. These are where these calls are coming from. Hey, Grant, I don't want to go on the air, but do you know what channel the Brewers are going to be on? Nope. Sorry, Mike, I don't. Hi, Grant. I don't want to go on the air. Do you know what number what station are the Brewers going to be on? Nope. Sorry, Doug. I don't. I'll let you know when I do. I mean, it's on the hour, and I'm starting to get annoyed because trust me, the Brewers should put out this information. But what I don't get is apparently there's a large number of people around the state of Wisconsin, all of whom have, by the way, no technological difficulty finding the number to call the Bill Michaels show. That they're perfectly capable of that. These folks are perfectly fine finding a phone and dialing 877-3608-1670 or whatever. It's the same number. It goes to the same place, but Bill goes out a different number. Perfectly fine with that. That's fine. But not so capable using the TV remote to find things. What I don't get is when was the last time that my television remote even had numbers on it? I don't know the last time I had to punch in numbers to watch television. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to. I certainly would like to. But instead, now I press the home button or the back button or the down button or the button that nobody knows exactly what it means, but we all recognize the symbol, the 3 lines. Oh, that means more options or some sort of menu. This is how I watch TV. And it's a pain in the butt because I can't go channel 28, which should be ESPN. Oh, it's in commercial break. I'm going to kick it over to Spike 36 and watch 1,000 Ways to Die. It all used to be available at the tips of our fingers, and it was great. And now it's not. But we've been doing smart TVs for a while. We've been doing Rokus for a while. These remotes don't have numbers on it. And yet there's an army of these folks across the state, all who have the hotline in their phone to call Bill's show with questions. What number do I punch into brother, what TV are you using where you are wondering what number to punch in? So if I sound annoyed, it's because I'm past annoyed. I'm exhausted. And if I have to kidnap Rick Schlesinger, drag him in here and force him to give a public address to Bill's audience on the hour, every hour for a full week, telling them I'm gonna hand him a piece of paper. And I'm gonna stand behind him and make him deliver. If you have AT&T Uverse, the Brewers will be available on channel 321. If you have Spectrum, they will be available on channel 36. I don't know who these people are or what kind of TVs they're using where they still use numbers, but they exist, and I'm sick of dealing with them. So if anyone with Major League Baseball or with the Milwaukee Brewers can please, for the love of God, tell Brad in New Holstein and Sam in Luxembourg and Mike and Bonduel and Doug in Luxembourg, please let these people know where the Brewer games are going to be, because I can't take this anymore. They are going to find me laying on the floor after taking a bottle of whatever pills I can scrounge up out of Ebo's office, in a pool of my own drool because I've taken one too many calls from the area slightly south of Sturgeon Bay. I'm done. I'm done. This is sucking the joy out of doing this. I can't do it. Rick Schlesinger, what station are the Brewers going to be on? Please, God, help. I don't even care about Bill. I don't care about Bill's show. Just please help his producer.
Sure. Yeah, I know there's been a little bit of confusion among the fans for the new television platform, and I appreciate the fans' patience. So we will be on cable, we'll be on satellite, we will be available on over the air for 10 games, and we'll be available through streaming services that are being sold right now. The one thing we don't know right now is what channels on cable and satellite we're going to be on. Those deals are being literally finalized and discussed as we speak. And if passed as prologue, we'll probably find out what channels are on, the Charter and Comcast and the DirecTV is probably, 24 hours before first pitch on opening day next Thursday.
Right.
But the good thing about our fans is they're very resourceful and they can easily find it. But
they can easily find, Rick, is the number to call the Bill Michaels show. That's how they're resourceful. They can call this phone right here and say, "Hi, Grant, what channel are the Brewers going to be on?" They're very resourceful, Rick. I'm gonna jump through the phone and give you a piece of my mind next time.
Fans to be patient for a little bit more. These distribution deals tend to come really late in the game, and that's just the nature of how those things work. But I'm very comfortable telling fans that we will be available on a lot of different platforms. And right now we're selling a lot of subscriptions to Brewers.tv. So
I probably would have delivered that message slightly differently. This is why I love Rick Schlesinger and the Brewers communications arm, is because occasionally they'll say something like that. It's like, I don't know that was the appropriate place. Like, I can't remember exactly how this came to pass, so I might have my details wrong. But it was it right when Bob Uecker passed away? I think last January, they did some sort of, this would have been 2 Januaries ago now, they did some sort of press conference very shortly after where they all had Uecker shirts on. And it was either Rick or Mark in delivering remarks about Uecker's passing had to point out that the Uecker shirts were available at the team store. And I'm like, I would have not said that there. Or I would have said, these shirts that we're wearing are available at the team store. And just so you know, 50% of the proceeds or whatever are going to benefit charities that Bob was really passionate about. Then fine. But you can't be like, we were going to miss Bob terribly. By the way, you see these shirts? They're available in the team store. We'll be open at 9 tomorrow morning. Okay, more from Rick.
It's $99.99 for a season-long subscription. You can get about 145 games on your iPhone or your tablet or your computer. And it's a great way to watch the product. And again, for the traditional people, linear, as they call it, cable, satellite, that'll be available, and we'll announce the channels as soon as we can.
I still don't know. Again, if this applies to you, I'm not trying to be a dick. I don't know whose TV remotes still have numbers on them. Now, my TV remote has, I think, a Hulu button and an Apple TV button or whatever. I would assume all of these individual streamers get to bid. It's like, no, I'll pay this much for the spot on the remote. There's no numbers on there. There's no numbers on there. Where are people? And again, I wish there were, because whether it's at my TV in my house or when I go home to visit my parents and I got to figure out how to use their smart TV, their Roku, I can't type in channel 28. Growing up, ESPN was always 28. It was power button 28. And on some TVs, it was the balls, because if you left your cable box on, you could press power on the TV. And while the TV was turning on, I could bang 28 and it would go to my channel even before the screen came on. So it was there, man. Now it's like I'm scrolling, I'm guide, and I'll go to sports. And there's only like 3 things that are worth watching. It's like ESPN, Fox, and TBS. And there's basketball on. But because there's so many, there's 10 ACC networks, there's 10 SEC networks, there's a million Big Ten networks, and they're all in alphabetical order. So I got to click, go all the way down to the bottom. It's like, I got to go all the way. The game's on TBS, so I got to go past all the ACC networks, all the Big Ten networks, waste my time. I wish there were numbers on my TV remote. You are using a remote and a television from a different time if you are trying to figure out which number you have to punch in. And on one hand, I'm jealous for you, but if you're going to cling to that number, like this has got to be your prop. This is going to be your thing. Okay. Rick Schlesinger, Let's go to how long will we be on MLB TV? How long will this current situation last?
We have the flexibility to do this year to year. I will tell you that my instinct right now is we'll be doing this with MLB media for 2026, 27, and 28. And after 28, there is an opportunity for baseball when all the national telecast contracts expire and when a lot of local team deals expire, that there could be a complete reconfiguration of media. And the goal, is to ultimately get TV, all games to all fans without blackouts, without territorial restrictions, on any device the fans want in any types of packages they want. So I'm really optimistic that, by 2029, we're going to have a really great wide distribution of television. And no matter where you are, frankly, in the world, you're going to be able to watch the Brewers games.
So that's a great idea. The part of that I'm laughing at, I'm not laughing at Rick, I'm laughing at this.
I'm really optimistic that, by 2029,
I'm really optimistic that by 2029, we'll have this figured out. And we want fans to be able to watch all the games without restrictions, without blackouts. Bill, a follow-up question to Rick Schlesinger. This is Rick Schlesinger earlier on Bill's show. How does this affect the money? How does this television situation impact the money, the budget, the finances of the team?
Yeah, we'll have less local media revenue in 2026 than we had in prior years, and that's just a fact. That's true for every team that was a FanDuel team last year and now is going in partnership with MLB on the production and distribution. But the reality is, we already planned for that. We knew heading into the 2026 season that there were going to be some concerns about FanDuel and whether FanDuel was going to be operating for the baseball season of 26. So when we're doing our budgets and we're doing our revenue analysis and we're figuring everything out, you basically put a contingency in for that. So it wasn't a surprise or a shock that FanDuel was not able to, honor its commitments and is, winding down. The most important thing for us, Bill, is making sure the games are available on a wide distribution platform. To me, that was job one. And we're going to accomplish that goal. Job two is great production. So we want the quality of the telecast to be great. And they're going to be even more amazing than in prior years because we have more cameras, more cool videos. And third is the revenue. So we're definitely not going to match the revenue from last year, but it doesn't affect payroll. Payroll's up. It's not affecting anything that we're doing at the ballpark. We're spending millions of dollars on new things at the ballpark. We're investing in things. We're hiring people. So, TV revenue is one part of the bucket, but I'm really positive and optimistic about, game day revenue, sponsorships, suites, all that stuff. So we're in good shape financially for that.
Okay, excellent. This is one more time, Rich Schlesinger from Bill's show earlier. One more. Let's talk about improvements around the ballpark. Rick, what's going on at American Family Field? What can fans look forward to with the actual in-person ballpark experience this summer?
Yep. So we are completely reimagining the playground that's up level in the right field concourse, and it's called the Glove Playground by Aurora Healthcare, and it's all new attractions, mostly designed for young kids. But it's the glove where everybody likes to take their photos with social media will be the signature feature. But we've got a cool racing sausage game, a different Bernie slide. We have a kid-centric concession space over there, so that'll be up and ready to go for opening day. In June of this year, we're going to open up the UW Credit Union Plaza behind center field. It's going to be a great outdoor space with a cool mini golf featuring some really epic, giant, characters and figurines that, evoke, the miniature golf places of the 60s and 70s. We're going to have a beer garden. We're going to have a kids play area. We're going to have a stage for music. That's phase one. Phase two will be a permanent concession and more entertainment space, and that'll be open for 2027. So that's a big event in 2026. We've got new concession items. We got more food trucks in the food truck alley. We've got a great selection of new sweets and ice creams at the 3rd Street Market Hall. We got new items like barbecue. We've got State Fair food at one of the concession stands. So, we're trying to imagine the culinary needs of the fans and trying to deliver on that.
Rick Schlesinger. So behind the center field wall, I've thrown the renderings that were posted by Adam Roberts, friend of show, who's with WTMJ, the big plaza behind center field. That's my puking wall. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. If you need you do that in the parking lot, clearly. Not not up next to the building. It does look cool. Good use of space. I mean, if you're not going to go like preferred parking plus or something, lest we lose parking space and opportunities for tailgating, it does look cool. Adam Roberts tweeting, the Brewers unveil renderings for the UW Credit Union Plaza that is expected to be open this June. It'll be located right near the pedestrian bridge over Highway 175 and comes complete with beer garden, performance stage, a kids play area, and a mini golf course. I loved listening to Rick talk about the new suites. Can I get that one more time?
We've got new concession items. We got more food trucks in the food truck alley. We've got a great selection of new sweets and ice creams.
A great selection. You almost sound like Clemhead there.
A great selection of new sweets and ice creams.
A great selection of new sweets and ice creams. It does look cool. You guys, I am incapable of reacting to anything said by Rick Schlesinger, even if it's very serious and informative, which it is. I have to have fun with this.
A great selection of new sweets and ice creams.
Correct. There's no other way for me to do this. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Nick Osen's going to be here at the bottom of the hour. A little bit more from Rick Schlesinger when we come back. Why not?
A great selection of new sweets and ice creams.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Nick Osen going to join us in about 10, 15 minutes here. It's the Wisco Sports Show. He's out in Portland. He was at Badger practice today, so we can get the latest. We can get any details, anything that he noticed. Watch the team talking to some of the players earlier today. But we need to conclude our old business of listening to Rick Schlesinger deliver remarks on Bill's show earlier today. We got the television information, which was no information we didn't already know, which should be plenty. It'll be where the old thing was. So just TV will be fine next week. It's lame that the Brewers haven't made a more formal announcement, or Major League Baseball hasn't made a more formal announcement, but
newsflash, big corporations don't care about you. They'll get to it when they get to it.
There we go. You're welcome for explaining that. Rick Schlesinger asked, what did last year, the successes of last year, what did those successes do for the Brewers this year and beyond?
Oh, absolutely. So, it's been a great run. And again, we haven't reached our ultimate goal, which is to win the World Series. But, there's no question the momentum from last year, the great stories, Mizorowski trading for Andrew Vaughn, and just, 14-game winning streak, and just amazing type of ball play, beating the Cubs in an epic, 5-game series. So we're seeing, double-digit increases in ticket sales, sponsorship numbers. We've already hit our budget for the year, and we haven't played our first game. Ad sales on our Brewers TV are, extremely strong, much better than I thought, given that, we're brand new to the business of selling media. And so every measure that we're using, social media engagement, all the brand indexes are as high as they've been. And they should be, because, the team's exciting. Murphy's the 2-time manager of the year, Matt Arnold, 2-time executive of the year. We've got, a great team on the field and a lot of fun players, and, 3-time defending NL Central champs. Let's make it 4.
Hell yeah, Rick. Hell yeah. And lastly, and this was the thing that I was very excited to hear Rick explain, the traffic, the construction around the ballpark. Rick, what are we going to do here? Because it's going to be bad next week.
Yeah, the traffic situation is important, and I'm glad you brought that up, because we know that, if it's Wisconsin and it's summer, it's road construction. And obviously this one is right at the heart of our ballpark, because it's the 94 freeway right in front of American Family Field. And it's going to take longer for fans to leave the ballpark. I think ingress coming to the ballpark with our new parking system, they'll be a little bit longer, but it's really smooth and really seamless. So coming into the ballpark, I think is going to still be a very enjoyable experience. It's going to take a little longer, especially on opening day and sellout games, for people to get onto the freeway. And we've working with Department of Transportation and working with the sheriffs and working with the city officials to do a whole number of things. We've got traffic control on Blue Mound. We're going to look for traffic control on Wisconsin Avenue to keep the cars flowing. We're going to be working with sheriff's deputies to make sure that the freeways are moving, and dealing with making sure the DOT doesn't do lane closures at inopportune times with our games. I think the bigger challenge will frankly be, day games during the week, because they tend to end when we have a little bit of rush hour. So opening day for sure will probably be one of our biggest challenges. And, we're showing the 20-minute Euchre documentary sneak peek, and I think a lot of fans will stay, but I'm just asking fans, at least for opening day, to be patient. It's going to take a little longer to get out. We're doing everything we can, and we've got a lot of messaging. Go to brewers.com/traffic. Go to the DOT website. We're also going to have QR codes throughout the ballpark with the latest information. So, and we're going to get better at it, Bill. So, the first few times it's going to look like, boy, the traffic's terrible. It's going to get better, and we're going to work with the DOT and make it as hospitable as possible. But I just ask fans to be a little patient.
Sheriff deputies now directing traffic. We're going to work with the DOT to make sure they don't close any lanes during our games. I'm sure that'll go over well. That interchange, man. What was it for again? I'm not anti-infrastructure. Just seemed like that was, for the most part, pretty okay. What do I know? Very little, but it's my job to give an opinion, so I'm doing my best. Thank Rick Schlesinger, everybody, on the Bill Michaels show earlier today. A lot of great updates. And again, if one more person, if someone calls me during Bill's show tomorrow and asks what channel the Brewers are going to be on, I'm walking out. I'm going to leave. That's it. So if I'm not on the air tomorrow night, you will know why. Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports, going to join us next. He's out in Portland. We'll talk Badgers with Nick next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. We're less than 24 hours now away from Wisconsin taking on High Point tomorrow to begin the NCAA tourney. Well, I guess the playing games have already started, but you know what I mean. Wisconsin High Point tomorrow out in Portland. Zach Heilprin is heading out that way. Jesse Temple as well, who we talked to yesterday, now making his return to the program. First time in a while. It's been too long. Nick Osen is joining us. Nick, how are things out in Portland? I hope you were well.
Grant, I'm doing great, man. It's good to be back. Portland is really good so far. I should be able to see a little bit more of it tonight. Obviously, we've been pretty focused here with with hoops and stuff. And, I actually just had a little bit of a question for you, man.
Okay.
Where can I kind of get set up for the Brewers game next week?
Yeah, with the traffic and with everything else going on, this is what we've been covered. We've been all over television channels, parking. It's a crapshoot, and I can't help you. And neither can Rick Schlesinger, apparently. No one has answers for where the game's going to be on television.
That was awesome. That was awesome listening to you, man. Great segment leading in.
I can't take it anymore. I can't take it. Just turn your TV on next week. You'll be able to find it. Are the Badgers on? What are they on? True TV tomorrow? The NCAA March Madness app? Well, why don't I ask? I'll turn the tables. Where can I watch the Badger game tomorrow, Nick?
So this one should be, I'll verify for sure, but I'm pretty sure TBS,
okay.
As well as, yes, the NCAA app, which honestly, as we know, a lot of apps with this stuff aren't the best, but this one is so smooth. As long as, you have some type of TV login, you can watch every single game on there.
That app has always been slick, and it's been that way for a long time. So you watched practice today. You got to chat with some of the guys. What are maybe some of the housekeeping items, injuries, health, things that you heard specifically today that fans should be updated about going into tomorrow?
Absolutely, Grant. So I think first and foremost, whether it's kind of been behind the scenes, speaking with Coach Gard, Nolan Winter himself, I think you're going to see Nolan. Now, I'm not sure exactly what role, obviously. Like, I won't be shocked if it's, kind of easing him back into things, maybe more like 10 to 16 minutes rather than a full 30 to 32. That's kind of my read, unless he is just great out there and they really need every single aspect of things. But you will see him. I think Janicki is still making his way back. We got to see open practice, like you mentioned, Grant, and he didn't do everything, obviously, with that kind of hand wrist injury. So wouldn't expect to see him Thursday. Otherwise, very fortunate getting to watch practice and speaking with the guys. Look, they're very focused. Obviously, you'd say that about just about every team, but there is a looseness to them that I think just the camaraderie in the last 3 or 4 weeks that we've really seen from this group is lending itself well to some confidence right now, obviously hovering around a 10-point favorite or so on Thursday.
So I saw a clip of Nick Boyd talking about how he's not going to take this team lightly because he's been on a team like this, right? An underdog that's capable of going on a run. I know we've seen so much of his high-level play. Talk about what you hear and see from him behind the scenes in a practice setting, kind of his energy and his leadership capability and how that could maybe impact the team going into tomorrow's game.
Yeah, Grant, he has just been awesome. Obviously in media, players are sometimes one certain way, maybe with us, and then with the team. Like, he's one of those guys that is just absolutely consistent. He's a talker, and he's really, optimistic, but he's not afraid to get on guys. So I've liked that about his leadership, very vocal. And then in terms of just the runs that you have seen from him in the NCAA tournament, I also think on top of that, there's maybe going to be even a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder with maybe getting snubbed in some recent awards, whether All Big Ten, All American, all that to say he's going to have these guys ready. Now, they are not a great defensive team, but they've got some different bodies they'll throw at Boyd. So I'm intrigued to see how they do that because size-wise, he's much bigger than kind of their starting point guard in Rob Martin. I think he's just like 5'10" or so. So that'll be intriguing. But as a whole, he can't wait. I mean, the excitement, I was standing there in between him and Nolan and Blackwell in the locker room, and just the excitement and anticipation emanating from those guys. They're very much ready to play this game.
How have you seen Blackwell and Boyd grow together as a duo as the season goes along? And I feel for Blackwell, it's a privilege to be on a good team and to play with other good players, but this is the third straight year now he's had to learn to play with kind of another mate in the backcourt. So how have you seen Boyd and Blackwell grow as a unit, as players, but also as leaders and as men on this team?
Yeah, Grant, that's an awesome question. I think people don't really realize that, and when he would have a slower game or maybe not shoot the best, like a 3 for 11 or so, they'd be quick to get on him. And he has had to adapt a lot. Look, it's been the key to the season. I think that it was a little bit of ISO ball, okay, your turn, my turn type of thing. Maybe not technically, but, when you're watching it, it seems like it. And now I think things are a lot more seamless. I think that they're both alphas. They are the two best players. I think that Boyd is obviously more vocal. He's going to go to his left, be kind of that point guard creator, but Blackwell can do just about all that too. And so I think the way that they have really come together, and I can tell you, obviously being around the team a lot, they are truly really good friends at this point. I think that has really helped the chemistry and obviously raised the ceiling from, this team, okay, should get out of this stretch and make the tournament to, hey, you are talking about kind of a chic Sweet 16, Elite 8 type of pick right now, Grant.
Okay. Nick Osen is here, 24/7 Sports, the real Nick Osen on Twitter. And he's going to have coverage all throughout the tournament out there. So you can follow him and read his stories and follow his live blogging and coverage during the games. How have you seen Alexis Biliauskas grow and come into his own? Because I think when Nolan Winter went down a week and a half ago, we thought, man, like, are they going to be able to limp through the rest of the season? What's this going to look like? They win at Purdue, and then they beat Illinois again in the tournament. They take Michigan to a one-possession game. And I think Biliauskas stepping in as one of the younger cats on this team, like, was a big part of that. I'm not saying he was incredible or it was the backcourt, but like, talk about Biliauskas and what you've seen there.
I actually do think he was a huge role in some of those, Grant, like you mentioned. I mean, I was actually talking to a staffer today, just, hey, if you're already seeing this from him, now granted, he's a little bit older than some freshmen, but still just a freshman, you're already seeing moments like this, the physicality down low, having a good feel for the game. He's actually made some underrated passes, hitting those threes, which everybody will talk about and point back to the Michigan game, things of that nature. Like, I think you're looking at potentially a 3 or 4 year starter, and not saying he's an NBA guy, right? But like, wherever he may end up, like a guy that can play basketball for 15 to 18 years. So I think that he's just so mature. I actually have kind of a one-on-one coming out with him tomorrow ahead of the game. Just has really gotten used to things, man, whether you're talking about hoops or being around the program or simply like, cultural differences and just learning a lot more English like he has. Like, it's been really cool to just follow his journey. And frankly, I've been impressed. At first, I was curious how quickly he'd make an impact, but I think that it's been a little bit of an under the radar signing from this staff. And I'd look for him to average maybe 9 and 7 or so next season, which is solid for the second best big on the team.
So High Point's the matchup tomorrow. I know you gave a little bit of a matchup for Nick Boyd and the size and the type of defense he'd be seeing, but what do you think specifically of this matchup, the High Point side of this matchup?
So I really think people have jumped to, is this going to be like JMU, James Madison a couple of years ago, and they're really different teams. And they had a fringe NBA player. Now they're coaches with Vanderbilt. This is a group that I think Coach Flynn over there has done a really nice job grabbing some transfers. I sat at their presser today, and they're all just really kind of new to this moment a little bit, very humble, joking about taking their little name cards, like stuff like that can be fun to see. But basketball-wise, you're almost, not fully, but almost looking at kind of a mirror image of Wisconsin. They love to push the pace. They average around 90. They actually force more turnovers. They're really good at that, but that's where I think it's advantage Wisconsin, because the Badgers have taken great care of the basketball, even playing with that pace. I mentioned the size advantage, like you said, Grant, for Boyd, and just overall, I don't think they play a guy over 6'7" or 6'8". So if Winter's even 90%, you got Biliauskas. I think Garlock will play, and then you talk about those guards driving. I think it's far from a perfect matchup. Like, I think it's going to be a close game for a while. But I just feel like with some of the star power, physicality, and frankly, the way the Badgers are playing, I do see them moving on from this one.
What do you think, to the best of your memory 2 years ago, just for reference and for context, what do you think went wrong against JMU that the Badgers would have to avoid tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I think we can be honest that as fun as that team was at times, they didn't have the cohesiveness and kind of camaraderie that we've seen these last two teams. So I don't think that this group is going to fall apart, maybe mentally like that group. I'm not saying they did, but once they got hit in the mouth, it was a little bit hard for them to come back. But last year's team, and certainly this year, they've been better at that. I also remember that was a very cold stretch to start the game shooting-wise for Wisconsin, and there were a lot of turnovers. I don't see those things happening. I think this group, frankly, just has more star power, too, when you have Winter back. So I would say, all told, as Blackwell told me, and I'm going to run this story in a little bit, Grant, as long as they're playing their game and they don't get frazzled, maybe like they did early on against a BYU or a Nebraska, right? They should just mentally be able to push through and showcase, we've been down 19 against Michigan, 15 against Illinois, 15 against Michigan. And this other team, again, respect to them. Like, they're very good, very well coached. They haven't played a quad 1 opponent. I think they've only played a couple quad 2 games. So it just should be kind of a jump in talent. and that camaraderie, like I mentioned.
Have you ever covered a team that's won as many big-time regular season matchups, a couple of them on the road? Have you ever covered a team or seen a season like this one? I mean, it's pretty insane to go to Purdue and win, to the Chrysler Center, to Illinois, and then to beat Michigan State at home. I'm not sure that I can even think or remember a season quite like this one.
Yeah, I certainly haven't, Grant. And honestly, I don't think the Badgers have had many teams like it unless you want to go back to around the Final 4 years. And even then, I don't think they, checked off every single one of those on the road. Some of it has just obviously been scheduling differences and things, but it's been great. And I'm sure you agree. I remember a couple times when I've been on the show, like we've talked about the job that Gard has done in Madison. I think this is one of his better coaching jobs. I think that when you watch this group in December, I know that, I'm optimistic with things at times. Like you were looking at that group like, okay, how are they going to get enough wins to make the tournament? Mm-hmm. And now, I mean, they're a 5 seed. There were some arguing for a high 5 seed. They got closer even to a 4 at one point. So I just think that the way that he has shifted things and the team has come together. I'll mention a guy like Andrew Rohde quickly. Just some of that quiet leadership and cohesion. He's what I call a connector in hoops. Like, I think it's been really impressive. And we'll see for their sake if they're ready for this moment.
Do you think not playing on Sunday is going to be a benefit to this team in a way that it wasn't able to be the last 2 years with them losing in the final to Michigan State and to Illinois? I'm talking about the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, I definitely do, Grant. Last year, I actually think that team looked good the first game and BYU was just crazy hot. But 2 years ago, yeah, I do think fatigue could have played a role with that interesting JMU matchup. I think that you're exactly right. They weren't going to jump to a 4. So just the fact that, hey, you played them really close, you get an extra day and a half, get these guys rehabbing, resting, getting mentally ready, fluids, all of that good stuff. I do think it's going to play a role. Like I said, I think the Badgers take this one, and then you potentially, Grant, have one of the best games of the tournament if both favorites, Wisconsin and Arkansas, win, setting up just a loaded guard star backcourt matchup.
Big picture on the tournament. I have 2 big picture questions. First, let me just ask you about the Big Ten. What do you expect from Illinois, Michigan, Michigan State, Nebraska, Wisconsin? Do you think we're going to be coming out of this first weekend like we have in the past? Like, oh, I thought the Big Ten was elite and all of these teams have been eliminated? Or do you think this year might be a little bit different?
I do think this year is different. I'm not saying, the champ is going to come from the Big Ten. There's obviously been a huge drought, but when you named all those teams, I don't think you even had mentioned, because there's so many good teams like Purdue that is now playing the best that they've looked all year. I said to my board last week, I think this conference could potentially get like 5 or more Sweet 16 teams. So I think it's going to be a little bit different this year.
And lastly, on the tournament, do you think it's similar to last year where it's a lot of the top seeds and we see fewer upsets? Do you think that's a continuation that we'll see in the college basketball tournament moving forward?
I do, Grant. It takes away kind of some of the fun and brackets and all that, but that's an unfortunate thing. Like some of the numbers, the star power, all that from NIL, it's been good. But in terms of just kind of some of the high majors getting a lot of the money and talent, it's tougher to see upsets. But that said, make sure you still pick a couple. I like Akron to potentially win. Santa Clara over Kentucky is a good matchup. We'll see how it plays out.
Nick Osen, thank you for the time, Nick. Do you have plans with your Badger beat comrades out in Portland tonight? What does a man like you do when you're away covering a tournament like this?
So actually, a couple of us might be getting a bite here soon, and then I'm going to have to lock back in. Grant, I haven't even done a bracket yet, so I got to make sure I do a couple, have a little fun. It's been a crazy couple days of travel, but grateful to be doing it, man.
I will, and we're grateful for you, Nick. Thanks for the time. Enjoy your time out there. We'll have to do this sooner than we did this because it was too long, so we'll get you back and hopefully, another time during this tournament. Hopefully we have a couple weeks here to talk about this team still. Thank you.
I think so, Grant. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports, CBS. He's on Twitter at @TheRealNickOsen. He's out in Portland, so follow him. We'll have Zach Heilprin and or Jesse on Bill's show tomorrow. Zach and Jesse, I believe, both traveling out today. Nick just got out there a little bit sooner, and it's been too long since we've had Nick on. We will wrap up the show after this next break, just 3 minutes from our sponsors. Most notably of all, today's presenting sponsor, La Crosse Beer House, 3rd Street, downtown La Crosse, corner of 3rd and Pearl. Stop in for a delicious brat locally. They get them right up the hill from Bubba's Meats. They're outstanding. Lots of different varieties and toppings. It's a perfect thing if you're going out and you're kicking around and you're getting beers and you just want something to build a nice base. You get something light like a brat, or you could sit down and get a full meal, get a fish fry on a Friday night, a big pretzel, some of the bacon that comes on the stand with the sauce. I had that last time we did a show there. It was outstanding. Not to mention the largest selection of German beers in the big mugs that you can get anywhere in town. Corner of 3rd and Pearl, Lacrosse Beer House, proud sponsor of the show. And I proudly represent Beer House because I love that spot. I can't wait to be back in Lacrosse before too long, stopping down there to see him and to wet my whistle. We'll come back, wrap up the show, recap of everything that we've discussed so far in 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills, Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin weather doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, we make upgrading your home simple. Right now, order today and get 0% interest until 2032. You heard me right. 0% interest all the way until 2032. Upgrade your windows and doors now and pay over time without paying interest. With our 10-year limited warranty, you can feel confident in your investment. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. 3/31/2026.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in. Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Malika, once again, the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo are in disagreement about where his future is at. Right now, it's about his playing status. And the Milwaukee Bucks, sources tell me, want Giannis to shut down for the remainder of the season with his latest injury, the hyperextension in his knee that he suffered the other day. That's his 5th injury of the year. He's had a groin injury, 2 calf strains, an ankle injury. Now this, they want him not to play the rest of the year. They have tried for him to shut down. Giannis, though, has refused them wanting to shut him down. He has made it clear to John Horst, the Bucks general manager, and the Bucks staff that he will not shut himself down, that he intends to return to play this season. He has been adamant in the last 24 hours. I don't care if the Bucks are going to try to shut me down. I am playing the rest at some point the rest of this season. And so this is just another one of the situations. We know what happened at the deadline. We know what happened in the offseason when there were trade conversations, and Giannis informed the Bucks that he believed it was time to move on. But right now, this is a Bucks team whose playoff odds are significantly dwindled as the last several weeks of the season go on. But Giannis and the Bucks in disagreement about how the next few weeks should play out.
Shams Charania, this might be the story of the day. It's not going to change the Bucks' fortunes this season. I don't know that it really changes them in the offseason either. Eric Name reporting, Antetokounmpo has been the subject of fervent trade rumors all season, but remained with the team at the deadline. He's been on a minutes limit regularly and has worked his way through injuries to his calf, groin, ankle, and knee. Oh, is that all? He's appeared in 36 games and averaged 26, 9, 5, and 28. When reached for comment, a team source noted that Antetokounmpo is still not cleared to play for injury at this time, and an update will be sent when that changes. Eric Name also writes, Bucks leadership has already approached Giannis about the idea of not playing another game for Milwaukee this season, which the franchise's all-time leading scorer firmly rebuffed. League sources told The Athletic Tuesday. And then Name goes on, losing as much as possible at this point helps. They don't need to bench Giannis to lose games. They're perfectly capable of tanking worse and losing more games with Giannis out there. I don't want his Achilles to explode, or his knee to explode, or his calf to explode. That's what this is about. This has nothing to do with tanking. They blow with him on the court. They blow marginally less, but what's the difference? He came back 2 weekends ago, and they lost the next 4 games by like 25 points. This has nothing to do with tanking. The Bucks are like, hey, Giannis, if you potentially want to leave this offseason, we need you healthy. You need to be healthy. And if you want to stay and you're signing a Supermax extension, we don't want you injured because you wanted to play. Because you wanted to play in a 2 weeks of meaningless basketball. It's just so dumb. I really like Giannis. This has been a disappointing year. I'm not blaming him. He's not the reason the Bucks are bad, but the way he's handled so many different things, it's just been a turnoff. Just got to grow up a little bit. Just got to grow up a little bit, please. Tony in Texas has talked about this, so I got to tip my cap to Tony. Emotional intelligence, maturity, these sorts of things. And I'm not the most mature person ever, but I'm not the face of an NBA franchise, luckily for me. I'm just a smaller face on a statewide sports talk show, the Bill Michaels Show. Arguably more important. Hey, by the way, if Bill ever told me to go home, I'd go home. If he's like, Grant, I don't want you working today, I'd be like, all right, I'm out. You can't bench me. You can't shut me down, Bill. We'll watch the Badgers tomorrow morning and then react tomorrow.